So, Greg, as we kick off another edition of MVS-W Thursdays here on the sheet, we'll just let you groove to the music a little bit hypnotic for a Thursday. It's been a long week. Maybe you're a little under-caffeinated. Let the music just sort of hypnotize you like a metronome.
Under-caffeinated. I'm caffeinated enough.
Are you? Yeah, it's been bad for me lately. And now I wonder why I can't sleep. I drink a cajillion coffees a day. Why I'm waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyhow. So welcome to the program. Thursday, December the 4th. There you go. Timestamp for the show today. Do you want to just kick off with the nickname or do you want to build towards it?
No, go ahead.
No, this is yours. You threw this in our chat today, and I think it's quite brilliant. Like, one thing that we've mourned over the last few years is the sort of the death of the good nickname in the NHL. But boy, do we have a good one now. And by the way, for those of you who think that like George Vezina was actually called the Chicoutimi Cucumber, like I assure you the players didn't refer to George as, hey, Chicoutimi Cucumber. No, that's just like as he was referred to as a nickname in print back then. But nonetheless, I digress. There are no cool nicknames anymore, except this latest one. Greg Wyshynski, the floor is yours before we intro the show.
So Daniil, here's the thing.
It's Boot. No, it's pronounced Boot. Yeah, Daniil But,
right?
Yeah. But you look at it, and it's But.
It's spelled B-U-T, but we've come to realize, courtesy of the reporting out of Utah, that his nickname is Cheeks, courtesy of Ian Cole.
Yeah.
There you go. Brogan broke it down for us. That it's Cheeks. Ian Cole has either Ian Cole or someone else has nicknamed Daniil But Cheeks. Yeah, which is amazing. Which gives us, Marek, two spectacular player nicknames in the same season. After, as you mentioned, a pretty substantial drought. We've got Cheeks.
Yep.
In Utah, and we have the Wall of St. Paul.
Wall of St. Paul is really good. Like that is in the spirit of the Chicoutimi Cucumber. That is very much like, oh, the Pembroke Peach, like that is very much in that spirit. I do like the Wall of St. Paul.
What makes the Jesper Wallstad nickname so fascinating and spectacular is the sense that, you know, not only does it describe a rookie that has 4 shutouts in his first 10 games this season, but it also puts some shine and some love on St. Paul, which is the city of the Twin Cities that no one gives a shit about.
No one talks about.
Which I think is like, I think that's as much community service as anything else in this nickname.
I think it's great. I'll be there for the World Juniors. For 10 days or so. Me and Zach are heading down. So I'll get a full eyeball of St. Paul. So
I've only been to Minneapolis once because I've never really had to go there for like a conference final or anything because the Wild don't usually make it there. But I went there for the draft that one year, and I love that city. Like I love that city as an art city. I love that city as a music city. Yeah. My best friend has gone there multiple times for various Prince-related things. But, you know, the one thing I do remember about that city is, of course, food and having my first official Juicy Lucy in Minneapolis. The Juicy Lucy is
What's
a
that?
Cheeseburger
in
which they take the patty and they form it around the cheese. So when they cook it, the cheese melts inside the burger. Now, there are, much like you got to go to like the official cheesesteak places in Philadelphia to get the real McCoy, there are a few bars in Minneapolis that claim to have originated the Juicy Lucy.
Of course.
And so I remember me and Leahy went to one, and I was like dressed in my fancy reporter clothes. And they're like, they give you the burger and they're just like, hey, let it rest for a little bit. You know, it's better if you let it rest for a little bit. And I'm like, come on, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So I bit into the Juicy Lucy with the cheese that's melted inside. And this thing spit at me like an asp. It just spat melted cheese and grease. Like, I remember it went all the way up my as I took a bite of this burger. And but it was delicious. highly recommend if anyone's going to World Juniors to find
Yeah.
the Juicy Lucy in Minneapolis.
You want to hear a Minnesota draft story from 1988?
Yeah.
Which involves a very unruly owner.
Oh.
Bill Waters told me this story when we used to work together. So this is the Met Center draft in 1988. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about, like as far as hockey goes, like today. But just indulge me with this one story, because as I like to remind people,
please.
This used to be the NHL, folks. This
I know that
what
you're
happened
tuning
in the
in.
NHL.
I know that you're tuning in and hearing Jeff Marek tell a story from before 1990, and you're saying to yourself, "What's happened here? This never happens on a Jeff Marek show. Is something wrong? Did he have an aneurysm or something?"
So here, I think you'll even like this one. So Bill Waters, who I used to do a show with a million years ago called Leafs Lunch on 640 local radio in Toronto, told me the story. So he was working at TSN, and they were covering the draft. And back then, the draft wasn't as big a deal as it is now. Back then, it was a two-person affair. It was John Wells, who was hosting, who was one of the original anchors at TSN, and Bill Waters. And so they do the opening shot. They have a shot of the Met Center, and here we are in Bloomington, Minnesota, and they get inside, and here's the host Minnesota North Stars, and here's the Quebec Nordiques. They have the first overall pick, and here's the LA Kings, and here's the Montreal Canadiens, and blah, 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 blah. And the camera's panning, and they're going all through the tables, and they get to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and everybody has their feet up on the table. And so John Wells says to Bill Waters, like, why do all the Maple Leafs have their like, scouts and everything around the table, have their feet up on the table? And so Bill, like, BS's some answer. He goes, oh, it's a cocky bunch. They probably have some secret pick third overall they're going to take that nobody's ever heard of. They took Scott Thornton from the Belleville Bulls. So, I mean, that was just like complete malarkey. So the draft goes on, and Sundin goes first, and Dave Chizowski, and then Scott Thornton. Stu Barnes goes fourth, and then Bill Guerin goes fifth overall. Now, the architect of USA hockey, but I digress, or the Team USA anyhow. And so Billy goes up to Tom Watt, who was one of the scouts for the Maple Leafs at that point after the draft, and goes like, Jesus, Tom, like, what was that? Like, our cameras are coming by. You guys all have your feet up on the table. I got to bullshit some answer about what you guys are thinking. And he goes, oh, Billy, it was so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. And Bill goes, what? He says, well, we get in there, and Harold Ballard, the owner, who is pretty old by that point, in a wheelchair, sitting at the head of the table. And apparently Ballard was really pissed off at Lou Nanne that they put the Toronto Maple Leafs table way at the back, and the washrooms were at the other end of the floor, and he had to go, and he goes, I'm not wheeling myself all the way down there, boys. Get your loafers up. And he pulls out his rope and has a squirt on the floor as the camera's coming by. And here's the owner of the Maple Leafs in his wheelchair. This is the NHL draft. There's y'all got the loafers up on the table, and there's the owner. I'll show you, Lou.
Oh my God, that's a hell of a story.
Listen, it's a much more disciplined NHL now than it was back then. But folks, things like this used to happen sort of on the semi-regular in the NHL. But I digress. How about we use that as a jump-off point to let everybody know what's on the program today? How about that? The Blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Download the app today. Have your giggles. Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. Coming up on the show, it is Thursday. That means Greg Wyshynski from ESPN and ESPN.com. So we are talking Awards Watch with Greg Wyshynski. And spoiler, Nathan MacKinnon looks like he's cruising to the Hearts. But there are some other really interesting ones there as well. We've already kind of talked about nicknames. Maybe we'll bat that around a little bit more. Mollie Walker will join us from the New York Post. We may talk Rangers, but we'll definitely talk USA and the Olympics and Mike Sullivan, and we'll see if we can squeeze in any Ranger talk as well. But what I want to kick off with today, before we get to Awards Watch, I know that the NHL and the salary cap era, and we see it a lot this year, the toilet seat at the Stag and Doe, up and down, streaks. And the Washington Capitals right now are on the proverbial heater, taking care of the San Jose Sharks 7-1. Alexander Ovechkin finding the back of the net a couple of times. He's now trending towards 40 or 41 goals all of a sudden.
Exciting. Yeah.
Ryan Leonard should probably be making some Calder noise, maybe in your awards watch as well.
The Calder Trophy NHL Awards watch, of course, was tabulated and sent out to the potential voters before last night's game. And to the surprise of no one, a few Washington Capitals fans have chimed in to say, "Where's Ryan Leonard? What?
Where's Ryan Leonard?
See the future?"
I know. I get it. They're every fan base is a proud bunch and very protective of their children. So you can understand why they'd be a little bit miffed that Ryan Leonard wasn't more represented. But nonetheless, like I remember asking someone last year in the analytics community, let's just say, I said, "Give me the top 3 smartest teams in the NHL in your opinion." And he said, this is just like, ones that like are very strict about following the numbers, interpreting the numbers, making moves based on the number, the highly intelligent NHL teams. And he said, number 1 are the Carolina Hurricanes, and they've been that way for a long time. Number 2, even though everyone thinks that they're just old school hockey and vibes and feel and are the Florida Panthers. And I said, who's number 3? He goes, this one might surprise you. I said, who's that? He goes, Washington Capitals. So the Washington Capitals are one of the smartest organizations and this is from someone, let's just say, in the analytics community who carries a lot of weight. Anyhow, what do you make of the Caps right now?
I'm trying to figure out why you were surprised by the Capitals front office being.
They don't have that. No, they don't have the same rep that the Carolina Hurricanes do, or the Maple Leafs under Dubas did, or the Florida Panthers under Sonny Meta.
But from a league perspective, they might not. But I mean, like Tim Barnes is their assistant general manager.
I know. I know.
They've had Don Fishman there forever. Like Chris Patrick's forward thinking.
They just don't have the same rep that the Hurricanes do. Right. With the it's the first period, let's warm up our Corsi, ha ha ha. Like they don't have that vibe about them.
They don't have that vibe about them analytically, but I think that they should have. I think that the moves that they've made, like this. So the moves the Capitals have made have been very smart, and they've invested in players that were maybe not at the apex of their careers at the time, and then they go and get them, and then it turns out great. Dubois was the example last year where they buy as low as they possibly can on a player, and he turns out to resurrect his career. And then obviously, like Jacob Chikrin was good for them last year, and now he's probably a Norris finalist at this point. And so, the way that they approach their player acquisition, I think, is very analytically driven. And the people that they have in their front office, I think, have in the case of at least a guy like Tim Barnes, pedigrees in that genre. What do I think of them? I marvel at the fact that they've been this good, considering a couple of the injuries that they've had this year. I marvel at the fact that Logan Thompson has been this good throughout the year. Yeah. And I think that what we're going to start seeing is Spencer Carberry getting mentioned in that group of coaches that have established track records of now making their team better than it maybe should be on paper. I think they're great. I think he's great. And I think that the way they play is advantageous to them being a contender, and they've shown it.
I mentioned Ryan Leonard a couple of seconds ago. That's one. Cole Hudson is on the horizon too. Like, still like
killing it.
They've killed it at the draft. They've killed it with development. I'll throw another name at you. Ross Mahoney has done a lot of great work and repopulating the pipeline here for the Washington Capitals. But what did you make of last night? Like this is the Sharks, baby. High flying Sharks. Here you go. Macklin Celebrini's filling the net. Will Smith right there, and the vapor trail behind the bullet for Macklin Celebrini. He's gonna fill, and just like snuffed. And Askarov chased, and like every now and then, like the big dogs remind the little dogs, like, okay, like it's cute, but you're not there yet. Like watching this game,
and also
That was that
there
game.
are also times when the little dogs play like little dogs too, and that can get in the way. I want to. Last night's whatever, but like the thing that I find most interesting about the Capitals is that on occasion in this league, you get teams that become the models for other teams, and I think in the case of the Washington Capitals, for better or for worse, the reload on the fly, the retool on the fly, what they were able to do to go from the Backstrom, Oshie, Ovechkin team to now what they have here with Ovechkin, has sort of created its own template. Now, sometimes that template can work. Sidney Crosby told me before the season, like he basically wanted the Penguins to be these Capitals, in the sense of like the veteran core is in place, they're in the twilight years, but you repopulate the roster and become relevant again with smart acquisitions and younger players. I don't think the Penguins have necessarily done it to the level of the Capitals, but clearly what they've done and also hiring the right coach has enabled them to be relevant in a way that we all wish they wouldn't be, because that means that Malkin and Crosby would be traded. But I do think, though, Marek, the Capitals and what they've accomplished can be the North Star for some teams that maybe shouldn't be chasing that, or maybe aren't talented enough or smart enough to accomplish that. And it'll be interesting to see like what effect the Capitals' success has on some teams that have veteran cores that maybe should break them up otherwise, because I do think they've created a new path in this league with veteran player acquisition, smart player development, patience with your young guys, and then in the case of Oshie and Backstrom, obviously some advantageous salary cap relief.
So here's what I wonder, and I just did, as you were talking, just did a quick search and I couldn't find it. You might be more deft at this than I am, or certainly people in the chat, or maybe you, Zach, lurking behind the scenes. So Ovechkin right now is trending towards 41 goals for this season. And it's a season that we all look at and say, it's probably the last season for Ovechkin here.
A lot of jersey trades for a big Ovi this year.
Take a lot of sticks on the road. Take a lot of jerseys on the road. How'd you like to be like the equipment staff for the Los Angeles Kings, lugging around all these extra sticks for Kopitar all season long? Oh, that's so thoughtful. I'll get a Kopitar giving me all these. I want the guys that are lugging them all over. Okay, but I digress. So he's trending towards 41. Do you happen to know the most goals a player has scored in his final year?
Wow.
Like, is there one where you're like, holy smokes, this guy had like 46 goals and then he pieced out? Like, I'll look at like someone like Nick Lidstrom, who is still getting Norris Trophy votes when he finally pieced out on the NHL, and just kind of said like, I'm not coming back. I can't come back. Zach, did you find this?
Let me say this, Zach, before you say this. Like,
go ahead.
Are we including players for whom their careers were cut short by injury? Because Mike Bossy had 38 goals in his last NHL season.
Yeah, but
that's the answer I have. By the way,
that's his back injury. If he didn't have the bad back and like that, like flat out, that's what cost him his career. If he didn't have that, he probably would have had 60 that year too. Because look at the last few years where his back was healthy. It's a string of 60s. It's insane what Bossy did. So was that it? 36 with bad back Bossy?
It's 38.
38.
The other ones that I have that were listed is Joe Sakic 25, Beliveau 25, Stastny 24, and then it's a little bit of a dip down. You can find guys like LaFontaine 23, Rocket Richard 21. So it's in that range, but it was 38 with Bossy.
Does anybody doubt that Ovechkin's going to get 39 goals this year?
No. By the way, the guy I thought it could be, and I forgot how much his career really petered out towards the end, was Solani. He was 43 playing for the Ducks, and he only had 9 goals in 64 games in his final season.
Yep.
But here's the thing, though, like so Ovechkin, you and I both assume this is Ovechkin's final season just by virtue of how he's behaving. and you know what I mean? So, but like the thing that he said before the season and the thing the Capitals said before the season is that if he could show that he is still scoring goals at a clip that he is content with and his body hasn't broken down, that there's every chance he could play another season in the NHL. I'm skeptical about that. I think it's going to be one of these things where come, April 2nd or April 1st, there's an announcement that this is his final season. And then, there's a mad rush to see the last games of Alex Ovechkin, much in the same way it happened with Gretzky. But I mean, taking them at their word, if this guy hits 40 again, 917 plus 917 plus 20, 937, he could end this with around 940 goals. So the 1,000 goal mark would be something to shoot for, obviously, for him, but I don't know if he's got enough in the tank to do it. But that would be the carrot. Be the first guy ever to score 1,000 goals in the NHL.
If Gretzky's record was closer to 1,000, I would say he'd still be going for it. Mm-hmm. But after you get the record, doesn't part of your motivation just kind of drop? Like, okay, I've got it. And that next threshold just seems so far.
The other thing about him, too, is besides can he score goals and has his body broken down, he also really wants to be a guy who plays well at 5-on-5. Like, one of the things about Ovi is always like, I don't want the end of my career to be a guy who stands in the Ovi spot of the power play and just pops in 20 goals. Like, he wants to be a relevant, as well-rounded player as Alex Ovechkin can be at this age.
So I don't know. He doesn't want to be Paul Kariya in St. Louis, where the whole power play has to go through me taking one-timers on the half wall. He doesn't want
it. Doesn't want it. So I'll take them at their word that it may not be his last season. I mean, I do think that in talking to Alex before the season that he hadn't made up his mind yet. Maybe he's leaning a certain way now after the first couple months. I don't know, but hey, listen, man, like, they're a relevant team. They're a playoff team. They're playing well. They've surrounded him with really good talent. He may not, there's something to be said for the joy of life of being an NHL player and how you're not necessarily ready to go, be the grand dam of the KHL or call it quits to spend time with your kids.
I could still see him playing, I don't know about a full season, but some games with Dynamo.
Of course.
By the end. I don't know about a full season, though.
No, but and again, like, he could do that when he's 45. Like, he could be Yager. I mean, we've both seen KHL games. It's not as if a 45-year-old Alex Ovechkin couldn't pop 25 in that league. I say, as I remember Kevin Dahlman being the Bobby Orr of the KHL some years ago.
Oh, wow. Big defenseman Kevin Dahlman. Yeah, he was. He was the combination of he won, Bobby Orr, Nick Lidstrom, Dennis Potvin, Chris Pronger. He was all of it rolled into one little bundle of KHL All-Star. Kevin Dahlman. I don't mean to denigrate
the KHL. The KHL is a professional league. It does well for itself. I'm just saying that Alex could probably go there at any age and do okay. And probably get the Putin treatment where they just lay off defensively and let him score a bunch of goals because Alex Ovechkin. It's Russian tradition.
Treatment. Man, look at how he split that D. How does he do it? I don't know. These guys are in the Hall of Fame, and this guy's going through them like nothing.
Scores 25 goals in exhibition game for Russia,
and then trips on the rug. Anywho, what do you? Speaking of, you just mentioned Kevin Dahlman. Speaking of defensemen, what do you make of Ryan McDonagh's deal? Because I'll be honest with you, I thought at this point in his career, Ryan McDonough, just so we know, it's a 3-year contract extension. 4.1 is the AAV. I thought that at this point in his career, because he's 36 years old, I really thought that Ryan McDonough, even though he's incredibly important to Tampa, he loves it there. He wants to be there. They want him there. They want him to be there. I just kind of thought that at that age, you just go on evergreen deals. Just 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. 36 years old, the team wants to mitigate risk more than anything else. Knowing that he doesn't want to go anywhere. He goes anywhere else, he's miserable. He just wants to come back. We like him here. Yeah. Defensively, he's still amongst the elite in the NHL, having the nerve to defend in his own zone. I'm kind of surprised at term on this one. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, he asked to come back. He basically asked Barry Trotz and the Predators to trade it back to Tampa. Did the term get them to the AAV? I mean, is that I haven't heard what Julien Brisebois had to say about it today, to be honest with you. But maybe the term is what gets you the AAV. Look, like, it's pretty apparent that there is a very successful marriage of player and team in this situation. When he was no longer on the Lightning, they missed him something crazy. Like whatever it is that he does that fits into their system, and whatever he does that fits into their room,
you know what I was told?
Part of the special sauce for that team.
What I was told about Ryan McDonagh, about why it works there so much, because you'll remember they thought Sergachev was going to go into that spot. Right? Yeah, because don't forget, Sergachev was playing third pair at that point. Like, okay, we can afford to move McDonagh. Sergachev comes in. Here we go. That left side is solid, and we're not going to regress at all. And then they realize, the thing that people told me about why McDonagh works so well in Tampa with that system is it might sound weird because you don't necessarily think of Ryan McDonagh as being speedy or anything. But people there told me that there's nobody better in the NHL on the blue line at getting back to their position quicker than Ryan McDonagh. Like when he gets dragged out a little bit, he gets back to his spot. A couple of people told me he gets back to his spot faster than any other defender in the NHL. I think a part of that too is he just knows where to go because he knows how to defend. Like his defense numbers are just tremendous. And that's why, like, we always wondered, okay, what's the one piece that Tampa couldn't afford to lose, right? Like every year they would have a successful season, they win the Stanley Cup, and then bam, Andre Palat gone, Tyler Johnson gone. Like every year it was like another player. Okay, who can't we afford? Alex Killorn, right? And it turns out the answer was Ryan McDonagh.
Yeah,
along.
They almost survived the entire checking line dissolving before their eyes, but they couldn't handle McDonagh going.
It's true.
He's a good player.
He's nice. Mollie Walker's coming up here in a couple of moments. We'll stand by for Mollie. Jets are in trouble, bud. Jets are in a lot of trouble because they're going one way and the rest of the division is going the other.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. That was I know they picked up a point in it, but
do you think if it was a different market, Connor Hellebuyck piecing out for a month to get an injury fixed might have gotten more scrutiny and more derision because people would frame it as you're just trying to make sure that you're healthy for the Olympics?
Honestly, Greg, I didn't think about that for 1 second. And normally I'm really skeptical of stuff like that. Just as a Canadian, look at this. Okay, yeah. Stick it to Winnipeg, and so you're good for the Olympics and come back with the gold medal. I didn't think that for 1 second. I didn't. I really
I'm not
didn't.
saying that rational human beings like me or you would think that. I'm saying that if he was the Leafs goalie, that Steve Simmons would have already written 3 pieces about how Connor Hellebuyck is selfish to make sure his body is ready for the Olympics versus helping his team in November.
Why couldn't this have been done in the summer? Why couldn't this have been cleaned up in July? Is that what you're suggesting here?
I'm just saying. I mean, in a different market, I wonder if he would have gotten a little bit more grief for that.
I don't know. I honestly, about Hellebuyck, I never thought about that for a second. I don't know what I don't even know that, because listen, it's not as if like Austin Matthews hasn't taken time off and there hasn't been anything announced about what the nature of the injury is. And no one's saying that he's, dogging it. So he's going to be ready for Milan.
And his participation in international tournaments has never been an issue, right? As far as his health.
Okay. So we can do this with Mollie Walker because I want to save international hockey with Mollie. And we'll
by the way, before Mollie hops on, the Jets are 19th right now in goals per game. As much as we're talking about Hellebuyck not being there, like how much do they miss Nick Ehlers?
It's not just Nick Ehlers, but whenever you have someone that your entire team relies upon, the way that Winnipeg relies on Connor Hellebuyck, everything else gets exposed. Can it be even more obvious now that they need A, another puck-moving defenseman, and B, a real second-line center? I think we all wanted Jonathan Toews to be that guy. A lot of people really want Adam Lowry to be that guy, but they're not. They need a second line center, man.
Talk about stories that would have gotten a hell of a lot more attention in another market. Like I checked in on Taves. Those numbers are ghastly. By the way, both he and Patrick Kane earlier this week were both a -12. I felt like it was a warm blanket. Like even though they're apart, they're still together in a certain way.
Yeah, they're in a real tough slog here. Anything else jump out at you from last night?
Other than the Devils could really use a Jack Hughes in their lineup, no.
Yeah, they
pretty
got
much the same.
They got smacked there. Okay, a couple of things here from your. Do we have time before Mollie gets here? I think we do. Awards Watch, ESPN.com, your latest.
Yes.
So Nathan MacKinnon, Hart Trophy? Seriously?
Yeah, I know. Shocker.
Cale Makar, Norris? What?
McKinnon's got the majority of the support. Makar did receive a vote, basically. But there is, a lane here for Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard to inhabit. Again, like if the Colorado Avalanche end up being the heir apparent to the Boston Bruins for regular season superiority and are breaking records left and right, and MacKinnon continues to do what he's done, it's hard to imagine he won't be the MVP. But some of the MVP discourse is about the impact that you have on your team, and Makar is on his team, and Blackwood and Wedgwood are on his team. They've both been great, even though Wedgwood's a little banged up right now. They're still the Avalanche, and at the end of the day, if it's April and either the Blackhawks or the Sharks are in a playoff position, and Bedard and or Celebrini have a more sizable or the same gap between themselves and the second leading scorer on their teams, I think there's going to be some MVP cases built for those guys later in the season.
Bedard over, if he keeps it up, Spencer Knight. To me, that's the massive story in Chicago. I know we're all in love with Bedard. I want to get to Mollie here, but I know we're all in love with Bedard. But the Spencer Knight story is fantastic.
It's fantastic, but I think Bedard probably gets the shine on that one if they are a playoff team.
Okay, let's get to Mollie. One of our favorites around these or any parts, you read her at the New York Post. She joins us now to talk about the Rangers and Mike Sullivan and Team USA. There she is, Mollie Walker. How are you, Mollie?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
Doing very well. We're thinking about you the other night as well. All of us were.
Thank you.
I know it was a tough one. We thank you for joining us here today. Before we get to the Olympics and before we get to the Rangers, do you have a thought on? We're just going through like awards watch here with Wish. He's the latest at ESPN.com. Do you have a thought on who your Hart Trophy / I want to throw in Norris as well here. Hart / Norris Trophy winners would be right now if you voted today?
I hate
and
these
be spicy,
guys.
be spicy, be spicy.
No,
don't just say
it.
Nathan MacKinnon. Don't just say Nathan MacKinnon. Heat it up,
I'm
Mollie.
not going to say Nathan MacKinnon, but I mean, he always puts forth a valiant effort every single year. So I respectfully decline. I can't. It's too early. There's so many different things that, who the hell knows? Who knows?
I would do it every morning. Like, honestly, if I ran like NHL.com, there'd be like an awards watch every single morning.
They almost do. Mollie, let me spin Marek's intrusive question to you into something a little bit different. Now,
sure, give me more specific. Right. If you want me to go specifics.
Adam Fox is banged up, but before he left the lineup, I think he's had a resurgent season. I think a lot of the
100%
of the grief that he was getting for his overall game, he had cleaned up and he was killing it. Do you think that played on his mind at all? The fact that he came out of Four Nations last year with people being like, should this guy even be on the Olympic team?
100%. I think that when you think about the big picture of the Rangers season, the whole Rangers team took a punch to the face, so to say, but nobody's reputation took a harder hit than Adam Fox. And that is no doubt about that, especially with the Four Nations stage. So I heard that he was in the gym a lot. this summer. So I think that was something that he took with him into the offseason. And, he's such a cerebral guy. He'll never lead on that was a fueling thing for him, but he acknowledged it 100%. And I think that the results are what we're seeing on the ice. I think that he has 100% bounced back, and the way that he's racked up points, obviously, before this injury has been huge for the Rangers, more than anything. But also his pairing with Gavrikov has been one of the best top pairings in the entire league. Their numbers amongst other top D pairs who have the same amount of minutes as them, they are near the top in most statistical categories. They have really forged a special top pair for them. And that was a huge thing for them to happen by signing Gavrikov to that long-term deal in the offseason. So it is paying off.
The sneaky good pair over the last couple of years around the NHL that didn't get a lot of fanfare was Gavrikov and Mikey Anderson in Los Angeles. Like in their own zone, like pucks did not go to the net. It was a freak show in their own zone. Do you have a quick thought on the early return? Well, not so early now, but the returns on Gavrikov so far this season for the Rangers?
I think it's been self-explanatory, truly. I feel like he has been so important to them on the back end. Their defensive game is so much different than it was last season. The way that the Rangers play in the D zone, the way that they're defending the rush, it's completely different than what we saw from this Rangers team last season. And I think that Gavrikov's defense-first mindset, his predictability, as Mike Sullivan likes to point out all the time, has just been such a key part of what's made them so steady back there in the games that they have been, at least, because as we know, it's been a little bit all over the place, but I've been impressed.
So the size of the Olympic ice is this week's big story.
Yes, it is.
Because Pete DeBoer talked about it on Sportsnet, and then other outlets discovered the story, even though they said they knew about it since September. And
Doug Armstrong mentioned it in September. It's been out for a while.
He mentioned it on John Shannon's podcast, and I loved. I know you and Shannon are boys. I loved him getting so pissed off. He's like, "We were talking about this.
We had this.
Listen to our goddamn podcast."
Yeah.
But Mollie, you talked to Mike Sullivan about it today, and I was curious what his thoughts are about trying to ice or coach an Olympic team with NHL players on smaller ice.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, fascinating conversation with Mike Sullivan this morning, just in general. Once the Olympics were brought up, because, he was asked if he can look at the opponents at the other end of the ice and be evaluating them for how they would possibly fit in Team USA. Tonight's example being Shane Pinto on the other end of the ice. So he gave such a great answer about how, yes, he does, but that takes place the next day when he's breaking down the footage. Of course, when he's behind the bench, he's thinking about the Rangers and the Rangers only.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I know.
But yes, he said that he does, take the time to look at other players and take all that into consideration. And, then he was asked about Pinto in particular, and he talks about Pinto. And then I was like, while we're here, what are your thoughts about the projected ice size being smaller than NHL standard? And he just was like, I don't know if I have any thoughts. Honestly, I really hope that's not the case. He just kept saying, and I was like, it sounds like it is, Mike. I hate to break it to you. So what are your thoughts? And he just, not only does he think that, that's not great for the game and it shouldn't be that way in Milan, but he feels like the NHL standard is too small to begin with because they're playing on the same sheet of ice that they did in the 50s. And the average height of the players nowadays is astronomical compared to what it was back then. So he thinks that it should be expanded to begin with. It should be expanded to begin with.
Mollie.
To accommodate the evolution of humanity, guys.
Oh, okay. So this is, Mollie, thank you for opening this door for this show right now. So I still maintain, And maybe this started with, I think maybe Nationwide Arena would have been the first one in this sort of like the wave of the quote unquote newer arenas. I thought one of the things that the NHL should have done, they should have insisted on any new arena that is built should have the option built in that in case they need to expand the ice surface, that it's able to be done easily. Now it's like multi-million rip out seats and make it like it's almost like it's so hard to do in the off season that it's kind of prohibitive. But I thought that when they started to build all the new rinks, that was one of the contingencies that should be built in. Now I don't disagree with Mike at all, but I don't want the double IHF size. I don't want the 200 by 100. There's way too many places to hide. A lot of empty calories.
It becomes like soccer
areas.
at that point.
it's so. I remember asking Igor Larionov about this once. I'm like, what do you like better, the big sheet or the small sheet? I thought like, he's a creative player. He wants a bigger, the bigger sheet of ice. And he said, no, I like the small. He goes, I step over the blue line, I'm in position for a scoring chance. I'm on the big ice, I step over the blue line, I still need a GPS to find the net. It's just slower, boring hockey, so defensive. But I'm with you, Mollie, and I'm with Mike. A little bit more room to the outside, maybe like 200 by 92. Maybe a bump up 85 to maybe 7 more. A little bit more room to the outside.
I know. The best thing about Mike Sullivan is then he starts talking about where on the ice it's going to be shorter. Like, it just things that, who is thinking about that? Obviously he is. And then he starts talking about how, creating scoring chances off the rush are going to be a lot more difficult if it's a little bit more compact. It was really fascinating. And I was so loving the Olympic talk, on a game day morning.
I think, have both of you heard the same thing that I think where they're going to take the ice from is the neutral zone. Like the neutral zone will be smaller. Yes. The offensive / defensive zones are essentially going to be the same. But it does sort of open up the door for, listen, smaller ice surface, physical players become that much more important, which is why, up north here in Canuckistan, we're all talking about Tom Wilson. Is there an equivalent player that, that Americans are talking about? Hey, if the rink is smaller, maybe we should have this bruiser on the team. Is there someone?
Greg, do you have someone in mind?
Well, I was going to say, I think it's less about the Tom Wilson-esque bruisers than it is that factoring into the debate that we've been all having about Cole Caulfield and about, some of the more diminutive, Clayton Keller, like players that were left off for Nations, despite their offensive talents and goal scoring ability. Like, the argument was always like, let's put them on this national team. Hey, we lost an overtime game to Canada because we couldn't score a goal. Let's put the guys who score goals on the team. Yep. But now if the ice sheet is smaller, it almost seems like it would play into more of the Bill Guerin philosophy of 200-foot dig your heels in defensive players are more necessary than guys that are just go offensively. That's just my surface area or superficial read on it.
Just listening to Mike Sullivan, I don't know if he personally is taking so much of the approach of a player that would fit better in a smaller rink, because my guy was going on some Miracle on Ice talk about putting together, not a team of all-stars, but a team in every true sense of the word. And I was like, I'm about to run through a wall, Mike Sullivan. I'm about to run through a wall straight to Milan. Like, it just so perfect. But like, those are the types. He went on this whole thing. He's like, who's going to be first over the boards in a 3-2 game? Canada just pulled their goalie. Who's going to be, the first PK shift? Who's going to be first over the boards, to defend Crosby, McKinn? And they're thinking about Canada. Let me tell you.
So
was it about Canada?
Was he? So let me get. I would love to have been a fly on the wall for this. Was he
going so good?
Was he going full Herbie on you? Like, do I have this right? Like, is he doing the full Herbie?
It was a thing of beauty for a member of the media.
I
looked at him and I said,
that he talked to you guys about it, because he didn't.
Me too.
It wasn't the next day, and he didn't have his Team USA hat on where he could think about such
100%,
things.
100%. But what I will say is it has happened in Canada. when we're in Canada, I think today it was Colin from Newsday, who is a Ranger reporter. He was the one who brought up the Olympics. But usually in the past, when we've been to Canada a bunch already, it's the Canadians who are bringing it up. And that's how it kind of becomes more of a conversation. So it was funny that it happened today in Ottawa. But yeah, he was going full Herb Brooks a little bit, and we really got him going. And like I said, I was like, well, while we're here, I'm just going to keep going with what everybody's talking about. So, and he was great.
So here's there's a couple of things that I wonder about here. I was joking the other day. Were you on with me when we were talking about Jason Robertson?
Yeah. Because I talked to him because he was trying to put on a show in front of Sullivan, and I made the joke. I'm like, I don't know what his shot total is, but I'd probably take the over. And then he had one shot on goal that night.
Well,
so you're off the team, Jason Robertson.
Here's the whole thing. Let's do the whole thing. And it wasn't Max Afinogenov, by the way. It was Miroslav Shatan. So Miroslav Shatan famously in a Buffalo Toronto Maple Leafs game, after he scored a goal, sort of reached into his hockey pants and mimed the call me with the phone. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, how awesome would it have been if Jason Robertson snipes two, skates by the Rangers bench, and gives Mike Sullivan the call me here. But do you find, Mollie, this is very unscientific, but do you find that candidates are playing that much differently in front of Mike Sullivan? Has Mike Sullivan said anything? I know that there was a Buffalo game a couple of weeks ago where and Bill Guerin was there, and Tage Thompson, you could tell he knew, and Alex Tuck knew that Bill Guerin was there. Has Sullivan commented or said anything, or have you noticed any American players just a little bit extra spice in the chili when they're playing in front of the Rangers?
Well, Sullivan won't say anything unless he's directly asked about a certain player, like he was Shane Pinto today. Yeah. He's not going to offer it up in any way like that. Like I said, he's really trying to make it clear that his focus is on the New York Rangers. But I think just being at the Four Nations and, Adam Fox in particular, who is obviously in the running and gets to play, not for the foreseeable future, but was playing in front of Mike Sullivan every night as a tryout. Of course, it is on everybody's minds. It's, Four Nations was awesome because it really was, I called it the appetizer to the Olympics, because
for sure,
to see how much these guys care and how invested they are, of course, each of the rosters, there's competition. There really is. There are players that are really in the running here, that this start of the season here is going to dictate who is going to be on these rosters. So when you know that your possible head coach is on the other bench, of course, you're going to see 10 times the effort, and it is in the back of their minds. They all care. They're all thinking about it. We're ready for the Olympics. Let's go. Let's speed it up. I'm ready. Well, Milan's not ready, but we're ready.
Yeah, Milan. Exactly. They're still building it. They're still trying to figure out if they can make ice, but we're ready. Last thing I wanted to ask you was about going back to the Rangers, is the JT Miller of it all. What do you make of JT Miller and the Rangers at this point?
I have so many thoughts. Because I have so many thoughts, because it's hard not to have so many thoughts about JT Miller, truly. He is such a presence in the locker room in so many different ways. He's actually been so good at keeping it light for a guy that is so intense. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Is this like when Liam Neeson does comedy, where it's just kind of like the juxtaposition of it?
you guys are like, what are you saying? But it's true. Whether it's a funny comment or just the way he walks into the locker room after a morning skate or after whatever, he doesn't take it too seriously, and it's his vibe is very easy to catch on to, and it's contagious. But at the same time, especially in his post-game interviews, he is also not afraid to let them hear it when they need to hear it and be blunt in his assessment of things. And, we all know that blunt ness that JT Miller can have, and it's effective. It gets the point across. And I just feel like just the way he's carried himself around the room and things like that, it's been good for them. It's a different kind of player than they've had in the past, and it gives them a different kind of attitude. And I think it's still settling and figuring out what it is, what their identity is, who they want to be. But he's been right in the middle of it, doing what he can to steer the team in the right direction while also, being himself, which he told me he really came into this trying to be unapologetically himself.
Yeah. Let me close with this one. Listen, we still have a lot of hockey to play, but if it stays this way for the Rangers this season, what does the offseason look like?
It depends. If they really fall off and they don't make the playoffs again.
That's what I mean. Like if it's like we're underneath the cut line here.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's going to be more movement. I mean, if they're not within any reasonable distance of the playoffs by the trade deadline, I mean, it would be negligent on Chris Drury not to use Artemi Panarin, and see what kind of haul that they can get for him, obviously. So I would expect, the next few weeks, especially leading up to the trade deadline, to kind of dictate where they're going to go. But I mean, two years in a row not making the playoffs is not going to be well received, so to say. And I expect movement if that's the case.
Yes. Listen, this is so kind of you to hop on with us. Always appreciate everything you do, and always making yourself available and sharing your expertise on Mike Sullivan not paying attention to any American players when they're playing the Rangers. He just cares about those 2 points, damn it. And
guys, this is going to be the last time he's ever going to talk to us about the Olympics now. They're going to be like, Mollie didn't shut up about the Olympic talk this morning, and now we can't do it anymore.
I still think it's the funniest thing, like the childlike innocence of Mike Sullivan wishing that the ice is going to be a normal size when it's obvious to everyone involved that it's just going to be smaller.
He's like, I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case. I'm like, Mike, it's built. Like it's in the ground.
That's why Jeff signed off on it.
Yeah, like it's happened. I said to him, it sounds like it's happening, Mike.
Oh, it's so funny.
But he was great. He was great.
I love it. Mollie, you're the best. Thanks as always for stopping by. Be good.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Take care.
There she is, the great Mollie Walker from the New York Post, joining us here. Such a delight she is. And you know what? It's still stunning too. And I don't even know what we heard the comments from Bill Daly yesterday, like, if the rink's not ready, we're not playing. So what does that mean then? The NHL is going to be dark? Do they have an
alternative plan?
A backup schedule? Like if, NHLers aren't going because this rink's not ready and it's too much of a risk for us to take with these, millions, billions dollars worth of athletes here, they're just going to peace out for a couple of weeks?
I guess so, because they've also said there's no plan B. I do love the idea, though, that as we're speaking, like Steve Mayer and them are designing the Winter Hockey Festival at UBS Arena on Long Island, wherein the players do not leave from Milan, and we get ourselves like multiple days of skills competitions and all-star games. I don't know what happens, honestly, and honestly, the other part of this too is that.
Guys, I just got to interrupt for 1 second. You two are the biggest WWE dramatic think about the biggest way to make a scene and have a hero come in. How has this not crossed either of your minds that they pull the plug on Milan, they're not doing it, and then a week before the break and everyone's all pissed off, there's no hockey for a month, we're going dark. Gary Bettman and Bill Daly come out on some big stage on the NHL network and they're like, we're playing international hockey and we're doing it in North America. And they are launching this at UBS Arena in Toronto, Boston, New York, Montreal, and they play this across everywhere. And the hockey teams play North America. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but this seems
fine.
This is the easiest
It
We're the
would
heroes.
be the easiest thing to do. They would come off as heroes. I will say to young Zach, there's a concept called arena availability that I think comes into play when you tell a building that you don't need it for 2 weeks. Chances
fill it
are
with concerts.
they filled it with other things. Yeah, but I mean, there's ways around that.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I don't, Zach. I don't think that you're wrong. And actually, I hope that you're okay. I hope you're not. There's no assassination attempts made on your life after this Pelican brief you've written comes out that the NHL has been maybe planning this and you've exposed it to the world. That's an old Julia Roberts movie for those who don't know in the audience, from a John Grisham novel. It's quite good. Mm-hmm. No, I could see it happening, but I mean they've said there's no plan B. And more to the point though, if the NHL doesn't play in the Olympics because of the arena, is there just no men's ice hockey in the Olympics? Because that's like a pretty important sport in the Winter Games insofar as interest, attendance, revenues, things of that nature.
The IOC goes back to the IIHF and says, can your member countries all have to cobble together a team here somehow?
Yeah, is there like a giant bat signal in the sky and Brian Giunta raises out of his recliner and he's like, I'm there. Like,
Ian White has returned on the defense on the blue line for Team Canada. Last scene of the Spengler Cup. Here comes Ian.
I think Zach is interested. Zach is the one who evoked professional wrestling, so I will follow that through line to say that there's a little kayfabe here in the sense that the NHL is trying to light a fire under the asses of a bunch of Italian bricklayers to get this thing done. And making some threats about, or at least kind of speaking to the idea of not going, certainly does that. Just two things I want to say about what we just talked about with Mollie that I didn't want to bring up because I know we had limited time with her. The first is that, let me put this out in the world. If the Rangers don't make the playoffs and it's apparent that what Chris Drury is doing isn't working, could you see a situation in which a New York area resident currently consulting with the National Hockey League by the name of Brendan Shanahan gets involved with the New York Rangers on a hockey operations side?
I think it's possible. I've sort of, in my own mind, just assumed that he's going to be the next Colin Campbell in the NHL.
Well, that's kind of where he is now. I think he's like advising on hockey ops. And that could be to learn the ropes and prepare himself for. I don't know for sure that Brendan Shanahan doesn't want to get back involved with a team. Obviously the Leaf situation with the Leaf situation, but I don't think for a second that means he's done it as an NHL executive or that he no longer has the desire to serve in that role. So I don't know.
Could I see it, given how important the New York Rangers are to the entire enterprise of the NHL? Yeah, of course. 100%. I could totally see it.
The second thing is, now you, of course, know, Marek, that there was a time in the National Hockey League where rink size uniformity was not the norm. There were certain buildings that were a little bit different. And a plank in the Greg Wyshynski platform, and I've been thinking a lot about this week as we have all of this mishigas with the size of the rink in Italy and all this nonsense, is I want to go back to there being differently sized rinks in this.
I agree.
I love in baseball that you have to think about the Green Monster. You have to think about the short porch at Yankee Stadium. I love the idea of there being rinks in this league that are either too big or too small, and teams have designed themselves to play in that rink a certain way. You have to think about the players that you put in your lineup because you're going to be playing that rink a certain way. I'm not talking about some circus shit where, there's no boards on one side of the ice or something like that.
Chicken wire on one side.
Yeah. I'm just talking about the dimensions of the ice and how cool it would be to have certain buildings that you have to think about who you're putting into your lineup versus other buildings. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That is real home ice advantage. I've maintained this. I'm in 100% agreement with you. I've maintained this for a long time. And the rinks we're thinking of is the old Chicago Stadium, the old Boston Garden, and God bless it, the Odd in Buffalo.
The Odd,
like small rinks. everything is uniform right now, so all the players are more similar than they are different. And what's the one thing that, we look at hockey and we say, everything just kind of looks and feels the same. Teams are constructed the same. Everybody tries to do the same thing with the same collection of players. Some players, like you make it to the NHL if you can knock off a couple of different boxes. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Yes, then you can play in the NHL. But what about players that would excel in a smaller environment, or dare we say it, in a bigger environment as well, or an environment where the boards around the corners are a little bit tighter? And so those teams get constructed based on what the geography of their ice surface is. So every single team is a little bit different.
And there's character to these buildings, and there's concern, and you discuss the dynamics involved into what your lineup's going to be. Like it just adds another layer of interest and individuality into this game.
I agree, but the problem is it'll never happen because every building there are no buildings that are just for hockey. There are no buildings that are just for hockey. If there were buildings that were just for hockey, you could be funky with them, but you get 41 dates plus playoffs. And that's it. That's a whole lot of other dates to fill. We were just talking about this with Mollie, or because it was with Zach and arena availabilities. Like that's not how you make money with your building. So it has to. They all have to be uniform. Well, I think ultimately it sucks, but I like different size venues. 100%.
To your point that of agreement with Mike Sullivan about the rinks being too small right now, I'm surprised he didn't bring up the biggest change besides the size of the players, which is another official skating out there with three of his friends. Like that, the minute they formalized there being 4 on ice officials on every game, that's the minute they should have said we're making the ice bigger, because you just can't add another body like that onto the ice and have it not affect things.
But you know what's interesting about that? I really thought, because I'm old enough to remember, folks, when they introduced this. My first thought was, this is a disaster because everyone's going to be bumping into officials now. Yeah, they're not. I think that's a real. Pucks do hit them. That's going to happen anyhow. That's just in the reality. I thought it was going to be like nonstop. Stripes, get out of the way. Stripes, get out of the way. Stripes, get out of the way. I think one of the things we take for granted is, and again, here I go, like bigging up the officials, how much they get out of the way.
How good they are at it.
How great they are at getting out of the way. Like, it's good when you don't think about it and you don't notice it. Like we talked about that with defensive defensemen. You don't really realize how great a defenseman is if they're sort of sight unseen. The officials in the NHL are awesome at turning themselves invisible and not getting in the middle of play.
But you're right, though. Like, it becomes glaring when they don't, though. Like when there's a mistake made and they break up a chance along the boards by just being in the way. You see that in the NFL a lot too, where like there's a passing play across the middle and the umpire doesn't know how to get out of the way, and all of a sudden he's affecting play, and then everybody boos. The thing I thought when they made the other on ice official a permanent part of the crew was obviously they would never again miss a call on the ice, and I was right. The officiating is completely perfect. There's never any mistakes made, and they call everything. It's amazing.
Yes, and nothing, and they call it right down the middle, and they call every infraction right by the book, and go over this debate over and over and over.
So there you go. That's my message to the NHL. Make your rinks weirder. Give us a little bit more personality from building to building. Like Vegas is the great example. Like Vegas's rink should have been something really weird, and make that whole thing like make it like 5/6 the size of an NHL rink, and so now you're surrounded by a sellout crowd of complete knuckleheads, and the ice is smaller.
The offensive zone. The offensive zones are pyramid shaped. It all goes into a point.
That's all right.
Okay, well, it's different.
I wasn't trying to be radical about it, but I listen. There's always going to be a part of me that's like, yeah, we should do more of that too.
Make the blue lines gold. It's Vegas after all. Why do they have to be blue lines? Make them gold lines.
Did you see the game? I think it was before American Thanksgiving, where it was a minor league team that was doing
green and pink.
The green and
pink?
They were doing a promo for the movie, for the Wicked sequel, And so one half of the rink was green like the Wicked Witch of the West, and one half of it was pink like Ariana Grande.
So here's I kind of look at this because I haven't seen it. To me, it hasn't been done properly yet because no one's figured out how to do it right. It feels right in my head, but just in execution, I haven't seen it done right. But philosophically, I love the idea. I just haven't seen it done right where it actually looks good. It still kind of looks clunky and tough to watch. But I do really like the idea of making the biggest thing on your screen more inviting to your eyes. Just like the baseball diamond with the lush greens, or golf is probably the best example with the lush greens, or the browns in basketball, the court. Instead of just like, oh God, there's white, the boards, the socks, the jerseys, the helmets, the ice, the players, like everything is just like, it's just like a huge splash of white, which is, as we all know, the worst possible color for television. But nonetheless, it pains me to say it because I've always been a big proponent of it. I haven't seen it done right yet, but that doesn't mean that you should scrap it. I think we should still try to make this look better. Kind of like, I still think the Fox puck was a good idea, but the technology at the time was awful. But the spirit of it was great, and the idea behind it was fantastic. By the way, you know what Brian Burke told me about the Fox puck? Each puck cost like hundreds of dollars. And so when they went up into the stands, Berkey, because he was working for the NHL at that point, he said they used to have someone, and sometimes it would be him, that would go up into the stands with like a handful of cash to buy the pucks away from the fans so they could put them back into use. Like, here, how much you want for that puck? You want $500? Here's $500. Give us the puck back.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The technology wasn't there yet. The technology eventually got there to be applied to NASCAR in a pretty spectacular way, so you could see which driver is where. And then obviously it also got repurposed to the first down marker in the NFL. We could do an entire show about my thoughts on the NHL and its television presentation. I think the real issue is that every other sport makes you feel like you're on the field now. And the NHL still feels like you are watching someone made a diorama of a sport. That's the real issue for me. I do want to mention, though, as we're talking about minor league gimmicks, the Orlando Solar Bears recently they have an annual game where they wear uniforms where the hockey pants look like they're wearing tighty whities. They have the fans during the game, instead of throwing teddy bears, another great minor league tradition, they throw underwear on the ice. It's the underwear game in Orlando. And all of the underwear thrown on the ice is donated to the Coalition for the Homeless of Central Florida. It's a great cause.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I understand why the underwear needs to be packaged.
Yes, please.
Sanitary sakes, right?
Yes, please.
It's going to be used by people.
Yes.
It's being donated.
Yes.
That being said, that deprives us of the same sort of vistas that we get in the teddy bear toss of players in the Solar Bears diving into piles of underwear, which is really the aesthetic that I'm looking for from the underwear toss game. But I understand why we can't have it.
The PWHL on I don't know if it was league wide or if it's just one team. Might have been league wide. Did essentially a teddy bear toss, but with bras. It was a breast cancer night. I think it might have been their first season, or maybe it was last year. I thought that one was really great too. All right, listen.
Because the other part is that you'd have people removing their own underwear. I understand that. I understand all of the problems that are fraught.
That's a problem?
Fraught with problems.
That's a problem?
I just want a picture of somebody diving into underwear at the end of the game.
No, you just want like you know those guys like in Buffalo that drink out of the beer swords? Have you seen those things? The Buffalo Sabre beer swords.
Yeah,
that they fill with
it
beer.
looks awesome.
You want like someone drinking like 8 of those and then trying to tear off his own underwear to throw it on the ice.
That's right. So
Tage Thompson and Jack Quinn can dive in it.
Dive into it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you're saying you wanted the NHL.
I'm just saying that there are some only fans that probably make a good chunk of change recreating the thing I'm talking about right now.
That's actually quite true. Quite true. Excellent as always. You passed the test. You can come back on Tuesday.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
I really appreciate that. I didn't know that. This feels like the end of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where all of a sudden Charlie realizes he's been trying out to become the new Willy Wonka. I'm not saying that I'm taking over your show or anything. I'm just saying I didn't realize there was a test.
Well, you didn't know that it was a test. But as we like to point out, we used to do it on the old show. Every show could be the last one. One day it will be the last one. Maybe today.
I really thought that getting a goon into the All-Star game was going to be the last one, but it turned out not to be.
You want to talk about what happened to me? Because I can do it more freely now. Maybe we'll do that next show about the conversations, how I thought I was getting fired.
Let's tease. Let's do a good classic sports talk radio thing. We'll tease it for Tuesday.
Okay.
Because we are over as I look at the clock.
Yeah.
We'll tease it for Tuesday. Jeff Merrick tells all about the John Scott aftermath on Tuesday's episode.
Was not good.
No, it wasn't.
Was not good for your boy.
I remember many phone calls about it.
Was not good for your boy. Especially that first day when USA Today had the vote.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good day for your boy.
Let's talk about it on Tuesday.
Let's do it. All right, thanks, Wish. You be good.
Bye.
Tuesday, that one, that fun story is coming up. It's funny. Someone reminded me about that, saying my best tweet ever was at the end of that All-Star game, Nashville. I remember sitting there with my dog, just being a jerk on Twitter and putting up, "Sorry I ruined the All-Star game, everybody." Hey, Zach.
Well,
that was not a good time for your guy.
But you live and you learn. You made it out. I made many mistakes.
Didn't learn a thing. I didn't live and learn. No, I just kind of lived through it. That's all.
Okay, well, that's good enough. You're here today.
Endured threats. Anywho, you're good today? Everything cool? I got to hustle here in a couple of seconds, but everything good in your world? Yeah, the wife and kids are okay? Me and having a barbecue on the weekend. You want to come by? Everything all right with you? Everything good? Okay, good. Very good. Here we go. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Enough of this small talk. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop, no sweat. With a live same game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Zach.
Keeping it simple. I'm not going with a parlay today because I've just been terrible, but I'm just going to give
How did you choose these three?
Goal scorers that I like here today. We're going depth matters. This is not parlaying them. This is just all separate. You bet these separately. You only have to win one, and effectively you'll if you lose the other two, you still come out profitable on the night. And it's fun for some long shots. So I call this one today's theme, depth matters. Grab some third and fourth liners here tonight that I think could potentially score based on chances generated over the last little while, inability to score, or guys heating up, i.e. a Scott Lawton, who's looked a lot better over the last little while and did find the back of the net against the Panthers. So the three I have, Scott Lawton plus 1,100. Just to kind of break it down for people, if you bet 10 on that one, you'd win 110 profit. Connor Sheary, same thing, $10 at plus 1,100, 110 profit. And Colton Dock plus 910 would profit you 90 there. Those are three. Not saying bet them all together, by the way. Let's be clear on that, but those are the three.
Okay. I like when you do the parlays because I like just how grumpy you are afterwards.
Well, there was a couple that was like, oh, it was close, and was like, I've not won any of these. Like,
but one day
dire.
It's gonna hit, and we're not gonna hear the end about it. This is your fishing trip story. Do you remember that day when you laughed at me looking at my slip and you'll never let us live it down. You'll never let us forget.
Yeah. That'll be the one where I come on and it's like the day after. Last night we won $500 and then 3 months later, remember that one we won like $10,000, and then a year later, you and I are talking about that $1 million win that we had. It was not really that much.
All right, I got to hustle here, and we've been really rude with your time, but we'll end that now. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks thanks to Mollie Walker for stopping by and putting up with our nonsense. Thanks, Mollie, for classing up the show the way you always do when you pop by. Thanks as always to Greg Wyshynski, who pops by twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays here on the old MVS-W on the sheet. And thanks to you for being in the chat, letting us in your ears, letting us in your eyeballs, and wherever else you allow us. That sounded weird. We're back tomorrow, 1 o'clock, for more of the sheet. We'll talk to you then. Jeff Merrick along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Face-Off, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for the sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.